What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the very first edition of Dose Bets. I'm Ben Harvard, joined by Joey Carrion. And today, Joey, is a beautiful, beautiful day because today is the last day of the NFL offseason, right?
Indeed.
Tomorrow, football kicks off with it, endless possibilities, infinite futures, countless roads we can go down. Are we going to get rich? Are we going to go broke? I mean, truly endless outcomes.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what will happen. If you're watching this, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Helps us out a ton. We just crossed the 400 subscriber mark. This obviously is Wednesday. I will be dropping my cash video on Friday. Ben will be dropping his GPP video on Saturday, and those are going to be weekly uploads. So make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss that. And then we will also be live streaming every Saturday at around 10 o'clock to take any questions surrounding the week one slate on DraftKings. So a bunch of content coming out late in the week. And then we obviously have our podcast that will be dropped every Monday and every Thursday each and every single week for the entire NFL season. The links for those will be in the description. So just make sure you're on the lookout for all of the content that we're going to be dropping surrounding DFS and gambling and betting in general. And hopefully we can all have a good season and all get rich together.
I mean, that is the plan. And so far, I think we're off to a pretty good start. I mean, got in a ton of best ball entries prior, and now we're here, week one. All right, first off, TNF, NFL kickoff tomorrow. We got Bills at the Rams, defending Super Bowl champions, high total game 52. Rams are currently favored by 2. I don't know how you feel. How do you feel about this game? I think that from like a win-loss perspective, it could go either way. I'm most interested in some of the props though that I've found looking through the books on this game.
Yeah, I think props early in the season are definitely going to be an inefficient market just because the majority of people and Vegas don't know how these team situations are going to play out earlier in the year. So that's definitely a market to capitalize on early in the season is props. Obviously, spreads and totals are usually very efficient, no matter the week, and there's really no edge in betting spreads and totals. I think it's just more so for fun, especially if you're doing parlays and whatnot. It's just a cool, nice, fun sweat. And like you said, the Bills are 2-point favorites in this spot. I think that's probably correct. I think they're the better team in this spot. They have the better quarterback, the better all around roster. I think that in terms of trends over the last 15 to 20 years, it has been profitable to bet on the defending Super Bowl champions in the opener. But if I had to lean a specific way in this Thursday night football game, it would be the Bills -2 for sure.
Yeah, now DraftKings is running a promotion right now up to $100 where you can bet money line on either team. And if you get up by 7, if the team that you bet on the money line gets up by 7, you win the bet auto regardless of the result. I think that's pretty interesting. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to take a shot on that. If I were, I think I would be on the same page as you with the Bills. Got to ride Buffalo, got to ride our local squadron here in Rochester, New York. But props wise, I think there are a couple things that jump out to us, including an official bet from you.
Yeah, so one of my favorite prop bets for week one for the Thursday night football game is Ben Skowronek under 19 and a half receiving yards. You can get that at -110 on DraftKings right now. And obviously, we got the news today that Van Jefferson is out, who is the wide receiver 3 for the Rams currently. But I think obviously the passing game is going to funnel through Cooper Kupp. It's going to funnel through Allen Robinson. I think at best he's the 5th option in the offense. And I think at worst he's just a rotational wide receiver 3 with Tutu Atwell and Brandon Powell, both who have gotten work in that Van Jefferson role, confirmed on Twitter by Rams beat reporters. So Ben Skowronek under 19 and a half receiving yards. I think that is a very good prop bet for the game tomorrow, and then I also do like Darrell Henderson over 27.5 rushing yards. That's on Prize Picks. So you have to parlay that with something else over on Prize Picks. And I just don't think that line is reflective of his role in the offense of, a 50-50 split, in my opinion. And they're kind of they're kind of just very low on the Rams running backs in general. So I think this is a good buy low spot on Darrell Henderson at week 1.
No, I definitely agree with that. I mean, the way that they have this projected just from a line standpoint, regardless of what book you look on, Prize Picks, DK, or any of the others, that Cam Akers is, well ahead of Darrell Henderson in terms of projected workload. And, as people who've been grinding all offseason, we know that's just not true. I think that the way that McVay and the Rams are looking at this is like a 50-50 split. The most recent quotes are that they look at it like they have 2 starting running backs. So the fact that you're getting like a 15-yard discount on the Henderson stuff, I think is really strong. I've personally taken that as part of a parlay, again, leaning into, I just, I like to fuck around sometimes with the bets on DraftKings and the profit boost that they do. So they're doing a 25% on a parlay. I threw a couple bets I like in there, and Darrell Henderson was over 29.5. So I took that as well. Also on Prize Picks, just rattling off all these great week 1 promos. They have a free square with Tom Brady over 0.5 passing yards. So he gets 1 yard. That's one leg of your parlay. If you want to use that with the Darrell Henderson 27.5, I think that's super sharp.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely got to be on Prize Picks. I think that obviously playing parlays long-term is a losing strategy, but they do a ton of promotions throughout the season. They give a ton of free lines. They are very slow in terms of changing their prop lines in terms of reacting to news and injuries and potential workload changes and whatnot. And you could find some very huge discrepancies over on Prize Picks. So if you're not on Prize Picks, I think that's just a mistake, although it is hard to win long term, especially if you're betting 4-leg parlays every trip, which I kind of find myself doing a lot. But I think I really got to just tighten up and strictly place 2-leg parlays. And I think you could be profitable long term if you do that over there.
I think that is quite fair. All right. Anything else that we need to touch on as far as Thursday night football? Actually, wait, hold up. I actually have a bet that I officially locked in. I got it at slightly better odds than what it's at right now, but Gabe Davis over 3.5 receptions. I need to officially lock that in. Hang on. Oh, wait, volume's off. Hang on. Flawless. All right, guys. First time rocking some of these new sound effects for the stream. But my official first bet of the season, the first bet that I made for week 1 is Gabriel Davis over 3.5 receptions. I just don't think that they are counting on the expanded role that he's going to have. A lot of people sort of counted Gabe out as like a one-time wonder in the playoffs, but we know that that's not true. We know that Gabe is established opposite Steph Diggs, going to have a huge role in a pass-first offense. So, I mean, I think that he has 4 catches by halftime, if I'm just being real with you. I love Gabe Davis. Had to pay a little bit for this one. I got it at minus 150 on DraftKings. It's at minus 155 right now. But if you're looking at the other books, he's at 4 catches on Prize Picks. So you need him to get 5 to win that. He's at 4.5 on FanDuel. So I just opted for the lowest possible line for the win here with Gabe Davis. And I feel pretty good about that. Love Gabe Davis. 4 catches is easy.
Yeah. I mean, Gabe Davis should definitely get 4 catches in this game. It's obviously juiced up, and we were talking pre-stream about, how paying that much juice for your bets long term, you're just going to be a loser. So with props for me specifically, I want to be somewhere in the range of minus 110 to minus 130. I think anything pushing like minus 150 would just be a straight no bet, no matter how good I think the player is. Obviously, there is still a ton of risk with betting overs in the NFL in general, and unders are just more profitable bets at the end of the day. And Yeah, so I obviously like the over 3.5. I just don't like the price that you got it at. And,
Yeah.
I think just betting long term, you definitely have to be price conscious and try and find lower juice lines if you want to be profitable betting props in the long term. But
Yeah.
week one, it's a nice parlay piece for your Thursday night football same game parlay.
Oh yeah, and then it's definitely in there for mine. We have some more player props to get to, but we'll get to that a little bit later in the show, Joey. I want to just talk real quick about some spreads, totals, sides, anything you like in that regard. What has your interest peaked to begin the NFL season?
Yeah, so I'll go to this first game. We have the Cleveland Browns at the Carolina Panthers. Opened as Browns -4, and this was over the summer when the lines first released. Obviously, there was a ton of unknown surrounding the Deshaun Watson situation, and then when that situation finally got resolved, we saw the line move almost 6 points towards the Panthers. Now they are -1.5 here, and I think the Panthers -1.5 is my favorite bet for week one. I just think on offense, the Panthers are definitely more talented than the Cleveland Browns currently with Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Baker Mayfield, revenge game, obviously. And I just think that the Browns are just not going to be good with Jacoby Brissett. That's really all it comes down to for me is I don't think they will be able to move the ball. I don't think they will be able to score enough points in this game to beat the Carolina Panthers. The Browns, I know past results aren't indicative of anything in 2022. What they did in 2004 and 2005 has no indication, but they haven't won a week one game in 17 years. They're 0-16-1. The one tie was against the Steelers a couple years ago. So historically, they just start out relatively slow. And like I said, they have Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. They do obviously have talent on the defensive side of the ball, and Baker Mayfield knows those guys really well, and they could give him some struggles. They know him really well as well, and I just think that the Panthers are the better team in this spot with no Deshaun Watson for the Browns, and 78% of the bets are on the Panthers, and 93% of the money is on the Panthers as well. So the public is all over it. I'm all over it, and I think that the Panthers -1.5 is a very good bet, and you can see right
Yeah.
here, public betting. So I am siding with the public on this one, but I think this is the correct side.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, Mayfield revenge game for sure. Did you see the shade that Nick Chubb threw it at Mayfield in the
I did
media
not.
today?
I did
Uh,
not.
they said he was asked what to expect from Mayfield, and he said, "We all know Baker, so I don't know what to expect." Little shade from a former teammate.
That's some whiteboard material right there.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think that Mayfield will get the better of this Jacoby Brissett led Cleveland Browns team. Like you said, the loss of Watson takes this team from being a potential Super Bowl contender to one of the worst teams, I think, in the AFC. It's just the way it is. No trust in Jacoby Brissett 2022. I think that that's the right side to be on. The bet that I first took in terms of spread, I actually locked this one in this morning, and that is Jags money line. I didn't really feel like I needed the 2.5 points in this spot. And I think that everything is really lining up for the Jags to come out and win as underdogs on the road. Doug Peterson has more familiarity with Carson Wentz than any other coach in the NFL. He coached Wentz for the duration of his time in Philly. They both got let go at the same times. Carson Wentz has been on 3 teams over the last 3 years, and this Commanders squad is just not set up for success. Meanwhile, the Jags are going in the opposite direction. They got an improvement in coaching. They have new weapons. Christian Kirk, Travis Etienne is back, adding explosive elements to this offense. And Washington, to me, is just terrible vibes. They've got team controversies of their own, maybe got a little bit overshadowed by the Watson stuff this offseason, but I think it's a shady team. I think the fans have quit on this team in a lot of spots. And just with the upswing of how I see the Jags going and the downswing of yet another disappointing Carson Wentz year incoming, I think that this is a no doubt situation that the Jags pull this out in week one. Plus 120. I love it.
Yeah, I definitely don't mind the Jags in this spot. Think they have the better quarterback, the better head coach, um, the better skill position talent, minus like Terry McLaurin. Um, I think that you get a road dog here. Don't know if that's a profitable bet long term, but Washington, they're down Chase Young, their best defender. Um, their secondary was horrible last year. We should see a pass-centric offense from the Jaguars under Doug Peterson, and I think that this is a spot where I think you can buy the Jags. If you want to take the plus 2.5, you can get minus 105. You can get that on DraftKings. That's the best line. If we just scroll down, we take a look at the, public betting. They're getting 62% of the bets and 85% of the money as a 2.5 point underdog. So public is on the Jaguars as well, and that's two bets that we are siding with the public on, and I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, no, it's fair. Last point, I did forget one of my points here for the Jags, and that is that they were obviously in the division with Carson Wentz last year in Indy, and he had two of his worst games below average in yards per attempt in both of the games by over a full yard that he played against Jacksonville. So this is a team with a coach and defense that has familiarity with Carson Wentz, who by all reports struggled all offseason. Just a little cherry on top for that.
Yeah, and if we click on here with this model projection, apparently the Jaguars are a model pick, so maybe I was wrong there. There's one pro system on Jacksonville, a road dog with a low total after a bad season, has a 62% win rate and a 21% ROI. And then you could see here that the sharp action is on Washington minus 2.5, but the big money is on Jaguars, and in that case, I want to follow the money, and
gotta follow the money.
The money is on the Jags here, so
you guys should be following the money as well at Dose Media Net on Twitter.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely love that. My second game that I like in terms of spreads, no totals for me this week for my official stream bets. I like, and this kind of makes me want to throw up in my mouth a little bit, Giants plus 5.5 here.
Ooh, Daniel Jones on the road week one. What could go wrong?
Yeah.
Well, how about you tell me what could go right first, and then
yeah, another road dog. Currently, you can get plus 6 at BetMGM. So this is only a BetMGM bet. Do not take the 5.5 when you can get plus 6 elsewhere, and that's just a core philosophy of sports betting. If you're watching this and you haven't sports bet, find the best line, shop for the best line, have money on multiple books. That's the easiest way to increase your ROI and just be a plus EV better long term if you're betting spreads and totals and props and whatnot.
Long-term profitable bettors are probably staying away from spreads and totals.
Yes, but it's fun.
Yes,
it
is fun, and
that's
especially in the beginning of the season. Got to have some fun. But
yeah.
Joey's point about having money on multiple books, I mean, you have to. You absolutely have to if you're trying to take this seriously at all.
Yeah, but nonetheless, the reasons I should say why I took the Giants, I just think that obviously this bet could undoubtedly backfire in my face, like it's the New York Giants. But it looks like they're going to have a full arsenal of weapons. Sterling Shepard is going to play. Kadarius Toney is going to play. Saquon Barkley, obviously one of the best running backs in the league. Kenny Galladay still there. Godius. They have a full set of skill position players ready and available. They have an upgraded offensive line. They have an upgraded head coach in Brian Daboll, who, the entire football community perceives to be one of the sharpest head coaches in the game. And I think the Titans have regressed as a team. They added Robert Woods, wide receiver an aging wide receiver, I should say, coming off of a torn ACL. They traded AJ Brown, one of the best up and coming young wide receivers in the league. They drafted Traylon Burks, who's had nothing but negative press surrounding him throughout the entire offseason. Derrick Henry is obviously coming off of a major injury in which he missed half of the season last year. They just lost their best pass rusher in Harold Landry to IR this past week. So I just think that this Titans team is not as good as Vegas is giving them credit for, honestly, with being a 6-point favorite. I think that this line should be closer to 4 points, personally. That's just what I think in my head. That's based on no factual anecdotal evidence. That's just what I personally believe. And so I'm getting, a little bit of value there if I'm able to get +6 on the spread. So I like the Giants +6. And if we just go down here, we take a look. The Giants are getting 48% of the bets. So the Titans are getting more of the bets, but only 11% of the money. That is a clear indication of knowing which side to be on.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the games where you really want to target, where it's like this, because that means the public is on the Titans -6, but the money, and you got to follow the money, is on the Giants +6.
Right.
So essentially you're fading the public, which is also a long-term winning strategy.
Right. And just like put that into terms in case you're like a newer bettor, like think about it like, that percentage of bets can be from a bunch of just dudes, throwing $20 on it, just having fun with their bros, stuff like that, versus the people who are hardcore grinding, putting, massive bets on it. So that like when, the sharps are coming in and putting huge bets, that's when you're going to see a discrepancy like this.
And this is a huge discrepancy.
That's huge. Yeah, exactly.
This is a very big discrepancy. And I really do recommend, like, if you are betting to get Action Pro, I think I paid like $3. They ran like a deal early in the season, and I paid like $3 for the entire year or some shit like that. Maybe it was a little bit more. I can't remember. It was so long ago. But if you are betting spreads and totals, I think that just having access to this information, like this pro report, if we go here, Sharp Action is on the Giants. Big Money is on the Giants. Their top experts, I mean, I don't follow their top experts because they're not really experts, but
what do
they're
you
on
mean?
the Giants.
We were top experts for the USFL, right? Did they have us in there?
Yeah, so I think it's definitely worth paying for it, for sure. If you aren't already, this is a free plug. We did some work with Action, so we'll plug them here a little bit. And
shout out Action.
Yeah, shout out Action for letting us write that article. But yeah, Giants +6. My second and final spread bet for this stream.
I think that we can move on to some player props at this point. I have one more spread I'm considering. I don't want to call it an official bet, but I am thinking long and hard about the Vikings +100. I'm thinking real fucking long and hard about it.
You haven't locked it in yet?
I haven't locked it in yet. I almost did. I was thinking about it when I locked in the Jags. You can get it at +102 on FanDuel. It's only +100 on DraftKings. So you're getting that extra $2 per 100. That's really important for ROI. But yeah, I mean, Alan Lazard is questionable. New passing struggles for Rodgers. Vikings are going to come out firing. Huge Justin Jefferson week for DFS. Check out our podcast, which drops tomorrow, for all of our hot takes surrounding Justin Jefferson. But yeah, I don't know. I think the Vikings come out at home and win this divisional matchup for sure. But
okay,
just still thinking about it. I have several player props already locked and loaded, ready to go. I mean, have you been grinding these props so far early in the week?
Yeah, so I have 2 props for the stream that I really do love. And my first prop for week 1 would be Juju Smith-Schuster over 46.5. And we'll plug this for free as well. Odd Shopper. If you are betting props, you have to be using Odd Shopper. It's a necessity.
Mm-hmm.
They give you the best line. It's very easy to use. You click on whichever category you want. Receiving yards, whatever, player props, receiving yards, attempts, whatever. And then you could just scroll through and, find props and lines that you like. But Anyways, Juju Smith, as you can see here, over 46.5. The best bet would be on Caesars at minus 113. I love that. I think that this is obviously the highest total game on the slate with a 53.5 total currently. I think that the competition for targets in Kansas City, in my opinion, is not good. I'm not a believer, obviously, in Marquez Valdez-Scantling. If you've listened to any of the podcasts over the offseason, I think that McCole Hardman has shown us that he is not a talented wide receiver in the NFL. Sky Moore is a rookie wide receiver coming into the league, and he was playing behind Justin Watson in the preseason. Okay, and then you got the running backs. I don't think they'll be too much of a factor in the passing game. I think there's a pretty good sample size of us knowing that like Patrick Mahomes just hardly ever checks it down. Period. So I think Juju is the clear-cut number 2 pass-catching option for the Chiefs. Obviously, throwing the balls from the best quarterback in the NFL, and Patrick Mahomes. I think that this is just a prime buy low opportunity. I don't think this will be his line in 3 or 4 weeks. I think that he will settle in to the 60 to 65 range when his props drop every single week. And I think if we can project Juju for, let's say, a 15% target share on the low end and a 20 or 21% target share on the high end, he's easily smashing 46.5 yards. Mm-hmm. Like I said, in my opinion, this is just a prime buy low opportunity for one of the best buy low comeback players in the NFL in week 1 in a very, very good matchup.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think even in like a neutral game script, that would probably be a line I would want to target. And the fact that it's in, a paced up game in an immaculate scoring environment, you can see these teams both pushing each other on offense. It sets up perfectly. I love Juju in this spot. I think he's a great player to take an overshot on in terms of props. And I think that he's squarely in play in DFS as well.
Yep. 100% agree.
All right. Let's talk about a guy that I've got coming up, Robert Woods. And I like Woods for multiple reasons right now. I got the line at 42.5 receiving yards at minus 135 on DraftKings. Is that still up currently?
When did you make this bet? Because he is 52.5.
Bang! Let's go. I made it this very morning. So I do love to see that. And in my notes, which I checked 2 hours ago, so this must have, very recently shifted. I was looking at him on Prize Picks where he was at 50.5. So I got quite a bit of value. I love to see that, that's a full 10 yards that I don't need to hit. So,
I mean, that's an easy win.
Yeah. I mean, love that. And
just from a value perspective,
I'm thinking I could cash out right now. No, but
just hit the nuts.
I love that. And I mean, that didn't move because of my 1 unit bet. It moved because of some sharp money. So it's nice to know the sharps are on me. And I think that this is, clear cut. Treylon Burks has been an off-season disappointment. And that's not to say that we don't think Treylon Burks can, have a decent second part of the season, but it's not encouraging that we've heard nothing good on him. He's been getting outplayed by Kyle Phillips. And I think that we can be pretty confident in knowing that Robert Woods and Nick Westbrook-Ikhine are going to be the 2 starting wide receivers for this team. Ikhine is, a role player. He's decent, but Woods is the guy here. He is going to be a confident option for Tannehill coming out of the gate. And I think that, over time, Robert Woods will, just become a, Ryan Tannehill's go-to option in this offense. The fact that the line is up 10 is great. Yeah. Robert Woods has been back to normal since early August, played in the preseason. We have no concerns with the injury.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I would not bet it at 52.5. So kind of unfortunate that it did move 10 yards in your favor. Like you said, you got it at 42.5. So for the people watching live and on replay, it's a no-go for me.
It is a no-go, but guys, that is a great reason too. As you can see below, join the DFS Dose Discord. maybe to avoid things like this from now on, we will post these as we bet them in the Discord. We'll make a specific channel for it. So if you guys want to join the channel, you can get access to those early and make sure that you are on all of the right lines at the right
Link
times.
is in the description.
Link is in the description. The Discord is one of the sharpest small groups of fantasy bettors in the business.
Absolutely. And my second and final prop that I absolutely love, that I think is a total fucking smash for this week, is a guy by the name of Darnell Mooney, a player that we have been touting and drafting all off season as, the next breakout wide receiver coming into year 3 with Justin Fields, who's coming into a second year, potential breakout year, hopefully, for Justin Fields. His current reception prop line is 4.5 on BetMGM.
4.5
minus 120. So you would need 5 catches to win this bet.
Is that a typo?
We are taking this over. We are smashing this over. He, in my opinion, is legit the only pass catcher worth a damn in the Bears offense besides maybe Cole Kmet. Obviously, he showed last year that he meshed well with Justin Fields, and we've talked about it a ton, how Darnell Mooney is the perfect wide receiver for how Justin Fields wants to play the quarterback position. He was obviously one of the highest targeted players last year. He had a 27% target share. He was top 10 in pretty much every single category for wide receivers in the NFL, top 10, top 15. He went over this specific line in 12 out of 17 games last season, which some of those were without Justin Fields as well, some of the misses early in the season. I just don't see how he doesn't get 5 catches on Sunday.
I'm about to lock it in right now. That's just a stone cold smash. That looks like a typo to me. It should be at like 5.5 easy, 6.5. Perhaps Darnell Mooney 4.5 stone cold lock. Get that in.
And I think that it's just like over 4.5 is a good line, and then minus 120 is a very good line.
Mm-hmm.
I would have assumed, had you told me it was over 4.5, I would have assumed it would be like minus 135 or minus 140. So, you're getting 15, 20 cents there in terms of juice. I think this is a total smash. And Prize Picks has Darnell Mooney at 5, so they already have it with the hook going up to 5, and so I wouldn't bet it there. But if you can get it right now, I bet MGM. That's a very good bet.
That is a phenomenal bet. I've got 2 more that I can run through quickly here before we get out of here. In terms of player props, I locked both of these in this morning. I should probably check and make sure the lines are still the same. Mike Gesicki under 30.5 receiving yards. That is on Caesars. And I like this for a few reasons. I mean, coming off of last year, the Patriots allowed only 2.7 receptions and 25.9 yards per game to the tight end position, fewest in the league in both categories. And not only have they locked down tight ends traditionally over the past couple of years, but they've had Gesicki's number since he got drafted. He has gone under that mark, 29 or 30.5 receiving yards in 5 out of his 7 career matchups against the Patriots. And from all signs that we've gotten this offseason, Gesicki hasn't really endeared himself to this new coaching staff. He was the subject of trade rumors as recently as last week. He was playing behind Smythe as a blocking tight end in the preseason at points. We know that Mike McDaniel's offensive philosophy is run heavy. He was quoted this week saying that they want to run the ball 30 times per game, which would put them in the top 5 in the league if they could pull that off. And, maybe they try. They bring in Edmonds, they bring in Mostert, Tyreek Hill now there. That's 20% of the Dolphins' targets off rip going straight to Tyreek. So I don't know. Between the matchup, the fact that the Patriots know Gesicki so well, and the fact that he doesn't seem to be a big part of this new coaching staff's plans, I think the under on Gesicki is a stone cold lock. Pair that with the historical data that betting unders on tight ends is one of the most profitable bets you can make, and I feel phenomenal about the Gesicki under here.
Yeah, so on the screen, you can see here, this is courtesy of Bet the Prop. If I zoom in a little bit. So over the last few seasons, tight end overs are hitting at a 40.9% rate. A pathetic 40.9% rate, they say. So as you can see here, they break it down between receiving yards, receptions, home and away, yada, yada, yada. So yeah, tight end unders just historically are one of the most profitable prop bets you can make, combined with all of the reasons that you mentioned, combined with just some even more, if we want to take it a little bit more in depth, personnel for the Patriots. They got younger at linebacker. They got faster with Cameron McGrone there now. Jawan Bentley, who was named a captain today. Anthony Jennings, he's more of a pass rusher, but they decided to go younger and faster at the linebacker position and kind of just all around on defense. So I think that helps, especially getting some faster coverage linebackers in there. Mac Wilson, who they traded for from the Browns. They traded Chase Winovich for him. That was, kind of just like a random trade in the offseason. But yeah, I like the Mike Gesicki under. I was talking about that with Jared the other day, like yesterday, like looking at Prize Picks. I think it's the same line over there, 30.5.
Yep.
Total smash, especially when you take into consideration everything that you said. I mean, it's like obviously Mike Gesicki is a big play tight end, or he does have big
He
plays
should be.
he does have big plays in his range for sure. But I think that just in terms of game environment as well, I think that it's a game where the Dolphins should probably be able to control the game. They should be able to easily beat this Patriots team as is. I mean, they have better talent pretty much everywhere, especially on offense. So I think that we could see, an establish the run type of game from Mike McDaniels. And
I think you could see it from both teams and just slow this game down in general. And
it's probably going to be one of the slowest paced games for sure in week one.
yeah, and just for anybody who wants some perspective, Jasicki's never blown by a line like this against the Patriots. His 7 career starts, 0 yards, 22, 30, 34, 11, 9, and 0. The Patriots have this guy's number. This bet's a stone cold lock. Lock it in. All right, I got one more, Joey. I got one more player prop for the people right here. Sometimes you get lines at good lines, and sometimes you get them at worse. I got Marcus Mariota at under 216.5 passing yards. Got that at minus 115 on DraftKings. Should have shopped around a little more on Caesars right now.
Should have used OddsShopper.
I should have, and
you didn't use it.
Won't make that mistake again. But for the people out there, this is an even better line. I would be jumping on this. In fact, I might double down because Marcus Mariota is not throwing 217 yards and he's not throwing 219 yards. He's not getting anywhere near it in this game. The Falcons were 19th in the league last year in pass attempts per game. And that's not going to get any better post Matt Ryan. Enter Marcus Mariota. They're going to be using a lot of motion on this offense. They've lost talent at wide receiver, going from Calvin Ridley and Russell Gage to Drake London, who is dealing with an injury. It'll be his first NFL game if he even plays, and Brian Edwards, a career bust. So offensively, this team is going to be completely dependent on Kyle Pitts. I think they're going to be trying to, use some motion with Mariota on the ground, Cordero Patterson out of the backfield. But you could argue that every aspect of this team, especially offensively, has gotten worse. I'm expecting this to be a lost year for the Falcons in general, and opening up against the Saints team that has quietly one of the best defenses in the league, at least on paper. I'm not expecting long for the Falcons to see this disappointment set in. Cameron Jordan, Marcus Davenport, they added Tyrann Mathieu, Marshawn Lattimore, Marcus May. I mean, this team is loaded on defense. So, yeah. This is not going to be a pretty showing for Marcus Mariota.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, tough matchup for Mariota. You have increased injury risk with rushing quarterbacks. You have benching upside, potentially, with Mariota. Maybe not in week 1, but I think there is, a 1-2% chance.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's baked into this current line. I don't know. I don't know how Vegas does their lines and their projections, but I think there are a lot of outs to this under hitting. You said you got it at 216.5. You can get it at 218.5, as you can see on the screen at Caesars. So I definitely like that bet, and ultimately you're just betting against the Falcons being a somewhat efficient offense, which I don't think they will be. I don't think Marcus Mariota is a good quarterback by any stretch, and I think betting against bad players is probably a good strategy.
Yeah, bet against bad players and bad matchups.
And on bad teams.
On bad teams with bad pass catchers.
And he's a rushing quarterback, which will lower the amount of passing attempts potentially for Mariota. And he's in an Arthur Smith-led offense, which
exactly,
he is kind of a run first or established a run type of coach. But I will note that they were 11th in pass rate over expectation last year. So that is the only downfall, is that they could just be so bad that they are forced into more pass attempts than usual.
Well, we shall see, Joey. I think that's all we've got for official bets week 1 up to this point, correct?
Yep, that is all. So
let's recap here, Joey. What are your official bets? Every week we will have our official bets. We'll review them. You'll be able to see at the bottom of the screen, we'll have a ticker at points that shows our records, our ROI in terms of units. So you'll be able to stay along, keep track with us. We may or may not add bets as the week progresses. So again, join the Discord if you want to be up to date on every official bet that we make as a duo. But Joey, our first official bets from this live stream, let the people know.
Yeah, so my official spread bets are the Panthers -1.5, and then Giants +6. Shop those around. Prop bets, I like Darrell Henderson over 27.5. That's on Prize Picks. You have to parlay it with something. You could parlay it with the Brady over 1.5, or if you personally like another line, just parlay that. Then my 3 official prop bets on sports books would be Ben Skowronek under 19.5 on DraftKings. Juju Smith-Schuster over 46.5 at -113 on Caesars. And Darnell Mooney, my absolute mortal prop lock for week 1, over 4.5 catches, -120 on BetMGM.
Love that. I'm going to be adding that to my arsenal as soon as we close this out. And I have 5 official bets from this stream. Jags money line at +120 on FanDuel. Marcus Mariota under 216.5 on DraftKings at -115. Mike Gesicki under 30.5 on Caesars at -120 as well. Robert Woods, unfortunately for you guys, that one's going to be hands off. That's over 42.5, currently at 52.5. So I would not touch that at that point. And then Gabe Davis over 3.5 receptions at -150 on DraftKings.
I think that we might come out with a very good record.
I think that we might, Joey, and that is going to be it for this first ever edition of Dose Bets. Tune in every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Dose Media YouTube account for all of our DFS gens out there. Stay tuned on the same channel. Joey's Cash Game Breakdown will be out on Friday. My tournament takes come out on Saturday. And finally, make sure you follow us on Twitter at the Dose Media Net. Until next week, guys, we'll see you then.